Good morning. Good morning. I had a friend that would always say to me, "Good moaning." Uh, yeah, because generally people moan on a Monday morning. How is it going? Is it a happy Monday, or is it just another manic Monday? Oh, whoa, wish it was Sunday. You know the song? Yeah, yeah. Manic Monday. Manic Monday. The holidays are over. It's back to the grindstone like a hamster on a wheel. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Mindful Monday. Clean up your mental desktop. Good morning, Debbie. Good morning, Vasha. Hi, hi, hi. Lovely to see you here in this session. Let us clean up our mental desktop with three nice slow breaths. Okay, it's like an antivirus program for your computer. Okay, let's do it. 2 feet firmly on the ground. Thanks, Andre. Grateful that you're here. Let's breathe in through the nose, nice and slow, breathing in. And slowly exhaling that out the nostrils with control. Good. And another slow breath in through the nose. Feeling that life energy, slowly exhaling out the nostrils. What doesn't serve you today, whatever anxiety, stress, just let it go. And last big breath in through the nose. That's good. And we open the mouth and sigh the breath out. There we go. Let's come back to a normal, natural breath. We are running the antivirus program because our desktop is insane. What does your desktop look like today on your computer? I can see. No, I can't see. What is your desk? Have you got a million files on your desktop? I bet you do. Who's got a nice, clean desktop? Yeah. How many windows have you got open? Gene, you've got a nice clean desktop. Okay, nice. I don't know. They say that messiness is a sign of creative genius. I don't know. I don't know. That's what they say, but it's probably a quote by a messy person who thinks they're clever. Ah, I don't know. So they said that Einstein's desk was a mess. His desk was a mess. We don't have such messy desks, but now we have messy desktops. Okay, messy desktops. Can we clean up our desktop? All right. Now we're talking not just our computer, because maybe your desktop is a reflection of the chaos in your life, Millicent. Maybe it's a reflection of how busy things have been, that you haven't been able to put things into folders, you've been procrastinating, but your desktop is full. Okay? Anyway, let's not beat ourselves up about it. Okay? It's okay. We are heading into winter, if you haven't noticed. Yes, things have got a bit chilly in Josie, in SA. And winter is then a time of hibernation, like a bear, like a bear. We don't have bears in South Africa, unfortunately, but it is a time. Whoa. I think is someone's microphone on? No, man, it's not the elephant in the room, it's the bear in the room. Okay. So now we start hibernating and we're gonna get hairy. Like ladies are gonna get hairy. They're not gonna shave their legs anymore because we're going into winter. Why shave your legs, ladies? You don't need to. It's time to look like a bear. You don't have to wear your swimming costume. No, you can't unless you have an indoor pool. But anyway, It is almost winter, and I'm not a winter baby, but we are hibernating, and maybe we are worried. Maybe we overthinking. Maybe now in winter it's added pressure because now it's, I don't know, like I don't really like winter so much. And I start to overthink. I don't know why, but come the month of May and June, I start to feel more stress. I don't know why. I think it's because, to be honest, my father died in May and I miss him, and I remember how stressed I was. So I guess there's some sort of trauma there, you know? So I don't like the cold because I remember, yeah, it was a long story, but it was cold. It was cold. So I don't like the cold so much. And I feel a bit mapaseka, yeah, I know. But anyway, you know what? I was thinking the other day, at least we can feel the cold. You know, like imagine you can't feel cold. Imagine you can't feel hot. My sister works with quadriplegics and paraplegics. So quadriplegics can't even feel hot and cold. So at least we can feel the cold. So that's one thing, Mapaseka. Maybe we can think about it. But I tend to overthink. And that's my problem, is I think too much. And you know that song, if you're happy and you know it, overthink. If you're happy and you know it, overthink. If you're happy and you know it, give your brain a chance to blow it. If you're happy and you know it, overthink. So we overthink. And thanks, Andre. Yeah, Andre's ramping up his gratitude this morning. I can feel it. I can feel Andre woke up on the right side of the bed this morning and feeling grateful for a day ahead, for the week ahead. But we overthink and then we spoil our gratitude. Thank you, Bridget. We can be grateful for that, the ability to feel. Absolutely. Overthinking originates in the brain's prefrontal cortex, this part of our brain, and it's the region responsible for complex decision-making, problem-solving, and self-reflection. And while this is a cognitive ability, it is also a remarkable asset, and it can lead to overactivity and rumination, and rumination is aligned to constant negative thoughts. I call it the washing machine mind, where your mind is like over and over the same stuff, you know. And there's a couple of points here of overthinking. There's something called hyperconnectivity, which involves major excessive neural connections within this part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, and that leads to heightened activity and prolonged engagement in self-referential thought processes. And it's always connecting to events that trigger to the self. Then there's the increased amygdala activation. So the amygdala is a part of the brain. It's actually at the back of the brain. If you go through the eyes and the ears, that's the intersection point. And it's like the stress detector. It's the threat detector. Okay, it's kept the human race alive, but it's the stress part of our brain. It's the emotional center, and that becomes hyperactive when we overthink. And then that triggers a release of stress hormones and intensifies our negative emotions. And then we have what is called the disrupted default mode network. Now, we're talking a bit of smart stuff this morning. Maybe I should put my glasses on to look a bit more smart. There we go. Yeah. Hi. Yeah, we got a big turnout today, guys. Thanks for joining, man. Thanks for joining. It's nice to see everybody. It's awesome to see everybody this morning. I'm just okay. So then we've got this disrupted default mode network. And the default mode network, which is responsible for our mind wandering and self-referential thinking, does become overactive during overthinking. And that kind of stops our ability to be present and engage fully in the current moment. Okay? So, yeah, we have these obstacles of overthinking, which is quite interesting. And then we have sort of harmful effects of overthinking. So how do we clean up our mental desktop? But the thing is, it's full because we overthink. So our mental desktop is packed, okay? So overthinking can really impact our well-being and our productivity and our overall quality of life. And that can lead to chronic stress because when we overthink, it releases a stress response in the body. And then our body floods with a stress chemical called cortisol and other stress hormones. And then prolonged stress not only impairs our mental and physical health, but also diminishes our ability to make clear decisions. Okay? Think about that. Stress is going to affect your ability to make good and clear decisions. And then there's paralysis by analysis, okay? Where we overthink, and then that can create a state of analysis paralysis where we become trapped in a cycle of indecision. And we're scared to make the wrong choice, but we avoid action altogether. Okay, so we literally paralyzed, and it's the freeze part of the fight, flight, and freeze. Okay, we're just paralyzed. And then overthinking can cause relationship strain. So overthinking can lead to excessive self-consciousness and doubt, hampering our ability to engage authentically in relationships, and it sort of undermines our self-esteem. And then there's reduced productivity. Overthinking then chews up all our valuable mental energy, leaving us tired, fatigued, and it stops our ability to focus, problem solve, and perform tasks effectively because it's affecting the prefrontal cortex. And then finally, we have mental health challenges by overthinking. So our mental desktop is bursting, guys, and it's overthinking. And then it leads to some kind of anxiety disorder, depression, and other mental health issues. So we don't want that. Okay, we don't want that. We don't want that at all. All right. So I'm going to do a little experiment on you all today. Yes, I'm going to read your minds. I'm going to read your mind. Okay, wow. I'm going to read your mind. I'm going to get my special mind reading bowl. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. This bowl, when I hit this bowl and it makes a gong sound, I can literally read your thoughts. Okay, here we go. There's 107 people on the call, and I'm going to tell you each one. Are you ready? All right, everybody's got the same thought. They're thinking about Vet Cook. Yeah, you guys are all thinking about Vet Cook. I'm just kidding. I can't read your mind. What do you think? I'm like some sort of a Sangoma. Let's see. Sipho says lots of coffee and warm clothes. Yeah, remembering to start the car. Yes, because you don't want to be stuck because it's frozen. Like I've got to pour water on the windscreen. Otherwise, I can't see driving to drop the kid off at school. Loss of sleep, Lazelle, lots of overthinking. I love that sound. It's cool, hey? I love it too. It's magic. Yes. I promise.
It helps a lot.
It's nice. It helps me too. I love it. And I can't read your mind, Zama, so don't worry, okay?
Yeah, there was hope there for a second.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'd be winning the lotto if I could read minds or something. I don't know. I'd be winning something. Carmen, you can buy one. There's a shop in Randburg called the Bliss Monger. I know that you can buy one there. And let's see. So, yeah, it's a nice sound. I can't read minds, okay? But there's something that we try and do, and it's kind of silly and it's weird, but we do. We try and read other people's minds. How weird is that? And is it possible to read other people's minds? I don't know. Do you know anybody that can read minds? I never met anybody like that. I'm definitely guilty of trying to read minds. And that's a trap, because when we believe that we know what others are thinking and assume, like I'm convinced that I know what other people are thinking about me, but it's like I don't. Like, how can I think that? Look at this guy. He's reading his mind. They're reading his mind. I don't know. All they can tell is that he's got a big mustache. But this is a trap, because we think what we know what other people are thinking. but no one can read minds. And we never know what other people are thinking, and then we fill up our mental desktop with all this nonsense, right? And then it's like, I know that they hate me. I knew they don't like me. They're all making fun of me behind my back. You convince yourself, or she's bored of hanging out with me, or others think I'm stupid, or she doesn't like me, or he doesn't like me. And I'll never forget, my colleague Grant, you all know Grant by now, Grant Ash. And I messaged Grant once on a Friday afternoon. Hey, Granty, I need some advice, blah, 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 blah. I sent him a message. He didn't respond. I checked my phone Saturday morning. Where's Grant's response? Nothing. Saturday afternoon, he's not responding. Sunday morning, nothing. By Sunday afternoon, I'm thinking, this guy hates me. Monday morning, he sends me a message. Hey, Marky, I'm sorry I didn't get back to you. I'm having a digital detox. I mean, really. So I think digital detox is good, right? But in my mind, I'm thinking, this guy hates me. There's a problem with our relationship. There's a problem with our friendship. There's a problem. And I made up this big story about Grant. Meanwhile, the guy's just trying to digital detox. You see, so I was mind reading. I was thinking, Grant doesn't like me anymore. You see? So we come up with this rubbish. In fact, we have on average as human beings 70,000 thoughts, and 45,000 of those thoughts are negative. 45,000 out of 70. So we can't trust our mind's mind reading abilities. Okay, don't trust it, because we have negativity bias. My mindfulness teacher says, try to reverse your paranoia. Okay, the paranoia is everyone's out to get me. Okay, my father suffered from schizophrenia. He had that paranoia. How about reverse paranoia, that everybody's out to help you? How about that? Okay, how about when you wake up in the morning, instead of trying to read other people's minds, instead think, everybody in their mind wants to help me. Okay, they're out to help me. They want to see me succeed. Right? Yes. Yes, of course. And the one way to do that is by saying, may I be well, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be safe, may I live in peace. May they be happy, may they be healthy, may they be well, and may they live in peace. You start to develop a good vibe where you're wishing other people well, and you think that they're not bad. They might just be helping you instead of harming you. Okay? They might actually just be on your side. Then we start fortune telling. We look in the glass ball, and it's similar to mind reading, but fortune telling occurs when we predict that things will turn out bad, when we believe the future is already set in stone and negative, and we often act like it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. So an example could be, I'm definitely going to fail that exam, or I'm not going to be able to do a great presentation, or that is fortune telling. Like, you just don't know, right? Or you don't know how things are going to go in the meeting that you think is going to go bad. Might just go really, really well. Another thing that clouds our desktop, our mental health desktop, is catastrophizing. This is thinking that the worst is going to happen, and it never does happen. Mark Twain said most of the worst disasters in my life never actually happened. So this cognitive distortion is known as magnifying, right? And magnifying, you exaggerate events, right? So I'm going to fail that test. I'm going to get kicked out of university, and I'm going to get disowned by my colleagues and my parents and everybody. My wife's going to leave me. My husband's going to leave me if I fail, whatever. Imagine trying to see everything going well today instead of bad and terrible. And imagine yourself successfully completing all your tasks really, really well. Okay? So I'm bringing some of these thinking traps into the equation because it is actually a subtle form of mental illness. All right? It actually is. And that's where it starts. Okay? Carmen, try Blissmonger. Google Blissmonger, you'll find it. Does the sound bring you back on track? Yes, the sound does, Lebogang. It's a very beautiful sound. Not everybody likes it. You get those people that are more in touch with people's feelings, reading body language and unspoken words. Absolutely. Andre, you can tell a lot, right, from body language. And that's a good topic, good subject. Overthinkers' worst nightmares and scenarios start with what if, could it be, was it me? Zama, that's so smart, hey? Wow, thank you for that. I like that a lot. Grant should have, Karen, yes, he should have left an out of office message. But anyway, it was the weekend, I shouldn't be messaging him on a Friday afternoon. But anyway, so here we go. So another thing that overloads our mental desktop, okay, our desktop. Think of your mind or your brain as a computer desktop, right? So you got so much going on, scrolling, you're like overwhelming yourself with news, with information, with the desire to look at your phone. I mean, you're looking at your phone every 4 minutes on average. Okay, how can we focus on anything? So then our desktop is wild, right? The way to clean up our desktop is to focus on one thing at a time. Multitasking is going to mess up your mental health desktop, okay? Your mind desktop. It's going to mess it up. Choose times to scroll. Find times in your day where you can say, okay, I'm setting aside 30 minutes just to scroll, and that's it, right? Let's bring some discipline into the equation. All right, so now we're going to do a little mindfulness exercise. And here's your desktop, okay? Your mental health desktop. Let's try a mindfulness exercise, okay? Here, I'm going to take you through it. Let's start this exercise with, let's start the exercise with a bowl. Okay, good. That begins our mindfulness practice. Let's take a slow breath in, opening the mouth and breathe it out. Okay. Imagining that your mind, your thoughts are like your desktop, like a computer desktop. Okay. And imagine there's a lot going on. There's a lot of thoughts about today. There's a lot of things that happened over the weekend, things that happened last week. Your desktop is full. You've got windows open. And let's take a moment to just clean up our desktop. Okay. So there's so much going on. We are imagining that we are creating a folder in our mind called postpone, like you see on the screen. All right. I'm imagining that. Now I've created a folder, and I'm going to move all my thoughts and all my plans and all my ideas and my concerns and my worries and my fears and this and that, everything. I'm going to click and drag into the postpone folder. Right, I'm doing that now. Bloop. And now I'm opening up one program, which is called Breath 2.1. And I'm just going to relax my awareness on my breathing, because focus, dear friends, cleans up our mental garbage. It cleans up our desktop, because if we stay focused and present with one thing in the moment, we then stop thinking about the future and we stop bringing up the past, and we just get used to being very good at being in the now. And right now I am breathing. Okay. That's what I'm focusing on. There's nothing else I'm focusing on right now. There's many things I can focus on, but I'm just feeling my body, and I'm feeling the way that my body moves every time I breathe. And it's a slight, subtle increase and decrease, a rising of my chest and a falling, or an expanding and contracting of my tummy. And as I do this, I feel a sense of calm and a sense of peace. And I don't need to think 1,000 things. I don't need all those things in my mental desktop. And if they arise while I'm doing this, well, I just pop them in the postpone folder. Whoops, in postpone, whoops, postpone, whoops, postpone. Okay? Relaxed. And now I can go into the postpone folder, double click, and look at all that stuff, and I can choose one thing that I'm going to do next after this call. I'm going to choose one thing, and I'm going to bring that into my desktop. Whoop. And that's going to be the one thing. Not everything, just one thing. And I'm going to leave everything else in the postpone folder, and I'm going to try and just focus on that one thing for the next 25 minutes. Okay? That's all. And when I'm finished with that one thing, I'm either going to delete it, I'm going to save it, or I'm going to put it back in the postpone folder. Okay? Clean up our mental desktop. There we go. Beautiful. Let's take a slow, deep breath in of mindful awareness. And breathe it out with a smile. Yes. I want to show you guys something before our session comes to an end. And I love all your messages. Thanks, everyone. I bought this a couple of years ago. It's called the Muse. Check it out. The Muse. Okay, I'm gonna open it up and show it to you. It's this thing, yeah, and it's pretty cool. It's got a little button that you switch on. You see, it's a techno gadget. There's the on button. You switch it on. You put it on your head like this. Okay, you put it on your head like that. Okay, it doesn't cause hair loss. Okay, my hair loss is from something else. And then it fits behind your ear like that. You see? And then you switch it on, and then you get your phone, and I've got an app on my phone, and it's called the Muse, right? And then I link, this thing connects with my app, and it calibrates my brain. Like it goes, and then it says, right, your brain is calibrated with the device and your phone. And then it says focus. So I focus on one thing. Maybe I'm focusing on my breath. Maybe I'm focusing on the sounds that are around me, whatever. And the more that I focus, the app then goes quiet and has little Tweety birds. Tweet, 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 tweet. Okay? And if I'm distracted and my mind is busy, there's a sound on my phone of rain. Loud, okay? But as soon as I bring my mind into a place of focus, the sound on my phone goes down and I have little birds. And the more I can focus, the more little birds tweet, 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 tweet. And then I collect my score. So basically, this thing can read my brain waves and it tells if I'm focused or not. It's a wonderful gadget. It really is. It's remarkable. And if you're trying to get into building your focus and through meditation, and you want to use technology, this thing is outstanding. I'm just going to put the name in the chat. Yolanda, you want to go shopping? We'll go shopping for the craziest stuff, right? But this is insane. So, I mean, I have competitions with my son, and he puts it on and I put it on, and I'm like, dude, I'm going to outfocus you. I'm going to win, right? So it's wonderful for children as well, because it helps them to learn how to focus. And I really do think that our focus is slowly dying, like it's slowly deteriorating because of our mental desktop being so full of our to-do list, of our inability to be present, of multitasking, of technology, and all of those things, right? So I really do. It's a bit of a worry. It's a bit of a worry. But let's, that's why we call the Mindful Revolution. Okay, that's why we are called the Mindful Revolution, because it is. It's a revolution. We've got to stand up for our mental health, and we've got to make sure that we have what is called mental hygiene. Okay. So, ladies and gents, here is a QR code. It is a mood survey. Okay, please scan the code, or I've popped the link in the chat. You can access the survey. It's a very short survey. It's anonymous. It just helps Wellness HR to get a snapshot of how we are feeling on this Monday morning. Okay, and it helps us. It helps us tremendously to build our messages and to decide like what sort of programs we must give you and how we can run that for you, right? So please complete that and take a few moments. That is the end of this Mindful Monday. I'm wishing you a happy Monday as well, and a very, very productive and fruitful week ahead, okay? Bless you, and thank you for attending. Much love to all of you.
Thank you,
Mark.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care. Enjoy. Thanks, Angelo. Althea, thanks so much. Patricia, thanks. Ruxana, thank you. Bless you.
Bye, Mark.
Bye, Tebogo. Thanks, Chantal, Veronica, Millicent. Sipo, thanks. A little bit of calm on a Monday. Yes. Stay warm, Sipo. Nazima, thanks so much for coming. Turn out today. Lovely. Regina, thank you so much.